Hello, everybody. This is Javier Lopez here coming to you live. Javier's Blog 208 on YouTube. Welcome to my channel. I try to do these videos without pressure, and basically, the conclusions that I come to are my thoughts. And I basically spend 24/7 thinking, even in my dreams, I think. I wonder if dreams are other worlds and stuff, other dimensions or whatever. But I've been thinking about the whole concept of politics and whether or not I should just continue talking about politics. And it's no secret that I'm very passionate and have very passionate views. But at the same time, I ask myself the question constantly, where are my views actually rooted at? Where are my views actually rooted at? And honestly, when it comes down to where my views are rooted at, I think that the conclusion I've come to is that I hate the way culture is changing so fast. I hate it. I really do. Now, if you were to ask the old me, the old version of me that was conservative, super religious, super conservative, super right wing, super evangelical, etc., if you were to ask the old me that, I'd be celebrating the culture change in America. So I asked myself the question, why am I not happy about the culture changing? Why am I not happy about, a generation of young men moving to the right, moving right wing, etc., etc.? And it's because it's breeding so much hate in this country that, in my view, should have been done away with a long time ago. Where it's breeding misogyny, it's breeding more homophobia, it's breeding hatred towards trans people, it's breeding, xenophobia, hatred toward immigrants and migrants, and hatred toward diversity, etc. And millions and millions of young men are listening to this garbage, hearing this garbage from their podcasters, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, Jordan Peterson, etc., and many, many others, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson. And honestly, it's just like, when it comes down to, I don't care. I have to say that, I have a lot more in common with Candace Owens than I thought. Like, I realize I have a lot more in common with Candace Owens than I thought. I don't care about Trump. One way or the other, I don't care about him. I don't care about him. I've mentioned in the past, I'm heartbroken that he won. I'm heartbroken that he won because his victory opened up the floodgates for the worst of the worst of the worst to really indoctrinate the minds of the younger generation, of young men, of young people, etc., with far-right ideology, with homophobia, increasing homophobia, expanding and increasing misogyny, conservative views on how women should live their lives, conservative views on, immigration and demonizing diversity and demonizing, undocumented immigrants, etc., etc. And just, it has opened the floodgates to so much hate in this country that I would have liked to have thought Gen Z would have done away with. And it's all coming back. I mentioned in a video, not too long, I mentioned in one of my recent videos that that it just kept popping up and popping up and popping up in my feed like 5, 6, 7 times. Young men are now returning to homophobic views of the past. And that breaks my heart. I'm going to just, without saying much else, laying it flat on the table, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Because this was the generation that was supposed to end homophobia. I really wanted this generation to end homophobia once and for all. And it's kind of, they're bringing it back. And it's really, 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 really sad. I think of Martin Luther King's message. One day black and white little boys and girls will hold hands and love each other. That's the same way it should be with gay and straight people. And honestly, we're moving very, very, very far backwards from that. And conservative gays, in my opinion, are what I constantly see, are blaming trans people. They're putting all the blame on these poor trans people. And that's a lie. It's dishonest. What's really going on, what's really happening, are the Charlie Kirks of the world, are the Joe Rogans and Tucker Carlsons of the world, are the Tim Pools of the world, are the Benny Johnsons of the world. You know, these people and all these young male new right-wing influencers that are just popping up left and right, left and right, and left and right. Brian Hollyhand, you know, many others, more known or less known, and upholding these so-called conservative viewpoints, so-called traditionalist viewpoints, etc. And honestly, what's going on is this is spreading like wildfire and causing people to hate, not just gay people, trans people, especially. I think trans people are the biggest victims, but gay people, trans people, women are a big victim in this, big victim in this, which also explains the gap between men and women growing and growing and growing, because women feel like young men are adopting views that are against them. Women feel like young men are adopting views that are embracing misogyny, that are saying that they must submit to their husbands, or they must be under the rulership of their husbands, etc., and they must, you know, stay silent in church and never, you know, all this stuff. And it's getting worse. And it's just, and like I said, it's not just homophobia. It's not just with homophobia or transphobia. Very big, growing like wildfire among young men, particularly young men. And not just misogyny. It's xenophobia. People are afraid of diversity. the Charlie Kirks of the world, the Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, the young right-wing male podcasters of the world, and influencers and Turning Point USA and whatever, have taught young men to fear diversity. And that's a problem. The Turning Point USAs of the world, Charlie Kirks, Tucker Carlsons, you know, Benny Johnsons, Tim Pools, young right-wing influencers, etc., have taught young men to fear diversity, therefore fear immigration, fear people who are like different than them, you know, skin color wise and ethnicity wise, you know, and to fear a more diversifying America and to see that as a bad thing. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So we see literally among young men, homophobia growing, transphobia growing. Obviously, transphobia is the biggest punching bag, you know, misogyny growing, anti-conservative views on women, and ultimately, you know, xenophobia growing like wildfire too. And it's not, and then, you know, you see gay conservatives blaming trans people for this when that's a lie. That's a lie. What's going on is all the right-wing influence out there that has spread like wildfire since Trump won the 2024 election and opened the floodgates to all of this. That's what's going on. Trump himself, he's just a figure, all right? Whatever. He's backstabbing his base. He started a war with Iran. Whatever. I don't care. He failed them on Epstein. Who cares? I don't care about that. He's just a figure out there. He doesn't matter. That's why I hate Trump's derangement syndrome, because basically we're blaming Trump personally for the wildfire of hate that's growing in this country. Yeah, he opened the floodgates to it. He did. I will grant you that he did open the floodgates to it. But Trump personally is not the problem. He's just a figure. He's a fading figure. You know, at the end of the day, the problem is organizations like Turning Point USA that are militantly trying to convert young people to conservatism. Figures like Charlie Kirk, who are militantly trying to, before his death, trying to convert young people to conservatism. Figures like, you know, Benny Johnson, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, who are militantly trying to convert young people to hard right ideology. You know, and more right-wing influencers popping up online. This is why, strategically speaking, Democrats blaming Trump for everything is just not going to work. It's just not going to work. And that's just the truth. It's just like at the end of the day, I don't care. First of all, great. No King's protests. Millions of people went out and protested. Great. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that people are fighting back against the right-wing extremism that's taking over our country. I'm happy about that. Well, at the same time, it's always about Trump. Who cares about Trump? Nick Fuentes doesn't even like Trump. Nick Fuentes hates Trump's guts. Okay? Who cares about Trump? Tucker Carlson is losing interest in Trump. Okay? Because they've moved past Trump. They've got their young men and they've moved past Trump. And they've got their young generations embracing right-wing ideologies and the Charlie Kirks and all that stuff. And it's very, very, very bad. The right has screwed up a whole generation. And if there's a single fight that I want to fight, it's that. It's that. I want to see the culture turn around. I don't want to see it turn all the way back to atheism. I don't want that. But I want to see the culture turn around. To be kinder, for the younger generation to be a better generation, not a worse one. And I feel like we're fighting a losing battle. I really support groups like, the couple of groups I saw there that are trying to counter Turning Point USA. And, it's like, the Dream America Tour. Okay, great. I really support them. They're a counter to Turning Point USA, the Unfuck America Tour, pardon my language, and they should change that word. Yes. They're countering Turning Point USA. And at the same time, I really support them. I'm glad that we need to build more counters to Turning Point USA. We need to have more debates. We need to be more open to debating, more open to speaking up against right-wing ideology, more open to winning back the young people, the young men in particular, back to our side. It's not really even about Democrats winning. It's about winning back the culture. All right? I don't care. It's about, some Gavin Newsom gets in the White House. Who cares about Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom has very little relevance to me. All right? Gavin Newsom, he's just another Trump guy. Playing games. It's all about Trump. He's an idiot, in my opinion. I don't like him. I don't care about him. He's an idiot. Harry Sisson, I've already expressed my dissatisfaction with a lot of Democrats. I've expressed my dissatisfaction with a lot of Democrats. Harry Sisson, Trump. Donald Trump. I don't care about him. And I have love and respect for Dean Withers. Dean Withers, young Gen Z man who is out there speaking out. I have love and respect for him. But at the same time, he's just another one of those too. It's all Trump. At the end of the day, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Democrats, I'm going to be real here, and I need to say something that needs to be said. Democrats need to move past Trump. They just do. They need to move past Trump, okay? Who cares? Trump started an Iranian war. Who cares? All right? Trump backstabbed his base on Epstein. Who cares? The good part about this is that his own base is crying about him. That's what we want to see, okay? We want to see Trump's base crying about him. But we shouldn't be crying with them. That's not our problem. If Trump is backstabbing his base, that's not our problem. That's not our problem. I don't care about that. I legitimately don't care about that. If Trump is backstabbing his base, that is not our problem. Okay? Not our problem. Democrats need to let them fight their fight, and Democrats need to move past Trump. We can't keep obsessing with him. Screw you and your Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome is a problem. I will say it. I've changed my view on that. I used to deny it. I've changed my view on that. Trump derangement syndrome is a problem. and it will never get Democrats anywhere, all right? You know, what we really want is for Republicans to have Trump derangement syndrome. We should be happy that Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson are crying about Trump. We should be happy that his young male followers, his young Gen Z men followers that voted for him have now feel betrayed. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. And meanwhile, we should be focused on actually getting a candidate who will make this a better country. Not focus on Trump. I don't like Gavin Newsom. Like I said, I don't like him. You know, at the end of the day, we need to focus on getting a candidate who will make this a better country. A candidate who won't abandon the trans community. A candidate who won't abandon the gay community. A candidate who won't abandon, who won't abandon immigrants. Who won't, submit to or even give the right an inch of xenophobic viewpoints. A candidate who won't abandon women. A candidate who won't abandon healthcare. Who will fight for healthcare. A candidate who won't abandon the vulnerable, the marginalized. Who won't abandon students, who won't abandon college students, a candidate who won't abandon social services, a candidate who will continue to stand up for the people, and for everybody. For everybody. That's the candidate we need. We cannot be obsessed with Trump. It won't work that way. We can let them cry about their Trump, and we need to move forward and find a candidate that will work out for all of us. All right, I posted something, and I kind of said, I left it public for a little bit, but I kind of set it to private. And it's pretty this. It was basically this, basically, the message of what I posted is this. We need to utilize every tool we have. Every tool we have. We can't be stupid. Okay? Otherwise, we're not going to win. We're not going to win if we stay stupid. All right, let's see. This is weird. I like Candace Owens because she's tearing apart TPUSA and Blexit as well. That's a good thing. Candace Owens is tearing apart Turning Point USA. She's tearing apart her own organization, Blexit. She's abandoned it pretty much. And she's tearing apart Turning Point USA. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. I like Trump. See, so we have to take Candace Owens and say, she may not be on our side, but she's on our side. She's fighting the organization that's trying to change the culture. She's fighting the organization that's targeting young people. She's fighting the organization that Charlie Kirk started to target young men all over the country. She's fighting it, and she's ripping them apart. She's shredding them in her podcast. We got to say, you go, Candace Owens. We got to support her in that. Because she's helping us. She's helping us. Second part of the post. I like President Trump because he betrayed his base with the Epstein files and with the Iran war. See what I'm getting at? Trump's base has turned on him. We can't be sitting here on the sidelines crying with his crybaby base. Okay? I'm sorry. That's just hard truth, but it's truth. We can't be sitting on the sidelines crying with his crybaby base. Because at the same time, if we do that, then we're not helping. We're not helping. We got to let his own base deal with him, okay? Trump betrayed him on Epstein. Awesome. You go, Trump. Trump betrayed him on the Iran war, started a new war when his base said, when he said no new wars and all the young conservatives all went and voted for him. Trump betrayed him. Good. This is an opportunity because at the end of the day, this is an opportunity for Democrats. Trump betrayed his base. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. We should be happy about this. Trump started a new war. Trump betrayed his base on Epstein. Great. It is what it is. It is what it is. I like Nick Fuentes because he is now encouraging his followers to go out and vote Democrat or not vote at all. We should be encouraging that. We should be encouraging that. All right. Nick Fuentes is helping us. Donald Trump is helping us. Donald Trump is helping us. Nick Fuentes is helping us by betraying his base. Donald Trump is Donald Trump is helping us by betraying his base over and over again. Nick Fuentes is helping us by telling his followers to go out and vote Democrat. Candace Owens is helping us by attacking and tearing apart Turning Point USA. These people are helping us. Donald Trump is helping us. Okay? We got to take what we can get. I like Dan Bongino. Yeah, I'm here, guys. I'm here. I'm literally here. I like Dan Bongino because he's defending Trump no matter what. I follow him now. I'm serious. This is what makes me an independent. I will take help for conservatives. Yes, I'm following Dan Bongino now. Okay? I really am. Dan Bongino is defending Trump no matter what. Dan Bongino is defending Trump no matter what. Including with Epstein. Including with the Iran war. This is good for us. This is good for us. He's directly going after grifters, the most evils of grifters, such as Tucker Carlson. And I agree, Tucker Carlson is one of the most evil grifters out there. Probably the most evil grifter, at the end of the day. He's got millions of young men who follow him, and he's influencing millions of people. He's one of the people responsible for bringing back homophobic views. He's one of the people responsible for that. Trying to renormalize the FAGGOT word. He's an isolationist. He's one of the America first, America only isolationists, kind of like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He hates Israel. That's sad. He hates Israel. Tucker's anti-Israel. He's an isolationist. He's bringing back homophobia. He hates immigrants. He does hate immigrants. He's one of the most evil people out there. What makes Tucker Carlson even more dangerous is the fact that he's embraced by Turning Point USA. He's speaking at Charlie Kirk events. He's speaking at Turning Point USA, which thankfully Candace Owens has been banned and she's attacking them. That's good. He's embraced by the isolationist movement. He's embraced by the Groyper movement. He's embraced by the worst of the worst of the worst in this country. Tucker Carlson is evil. And anybody that's attacking Tucker Carlson, whether it's Ben Shapiro or whether it's Dan Bongino, I'm going to side with them. So Dan Bongino, he's defending Trump no matter what. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Including with Epstein, including with Iran. Plus, he's going after the most evil of grifters, including Tucker Carlson. Every time someone on the right attacks Tucker Carlson, I'm going to share it. Because that guy needs to be stopped. He's evil. He's the most dangerous grifter out there, in my opinion. And plus, Dan Bongino is standing with Israel no matter what. That's also a good thing. For that matter, I like Ben Shapiro for the same reason. Honestly, anybody on the right that's attacking Tucker Carlson is helping us. And we need to support them. We need to play both. I have kind of adopted a little bit of the mentality of Nick Fuentes. We need to play both sides. We need to play both sides. We need to know who on the right is helping us, even if it's Donald Trump. Okay? Even if it's Donald Trump. We need to embrace the people who are helping us, regardless of which side they're on. Okay? If Dan Bongino is attacking Tucker Carlson, we will support Dan Bongino. If Dan Bongino is standing with Trump no matter what, we got to support Dan Bongino. See all I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if he's defending every single action of Trump, that's good for us. That's good for us. So we'd say, you go, Dan Bongino, keep doing that. And he's standing with Israel no matter what. That's also good for us. And even though I am one that is pro-Israel, I got no problem. I got no problem with that. Dan Bongino is defending the Iran war. You go, Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino is defending the Epstein cover-up. You go, Dan Bongino. That's good for us. That really is good for us. Dan Bongino was attacking Tucker Carlson, who was influencing millions of young men. That's good for us. And Nick Fuentes encouraging his voters to vote Democrat, his supporters to go out and vote Democrat, that's good for us. Trump betraying his base with Epstein and the Iran war with other things, that's good for us. Candace Owens attacking TPUSA in her podcast, which millions watch, that's good for us. The bottom line is, our goal is to save the culture. Our goal is to save the culture. Our goal is to, my goal personally is to save the culture, honestly. I'm not against people turning to God. I support that. But I'm against people embracing views that should be in the past. Homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, anti-woman views, xenophobia, anti-immigrant rhetoric. I hate that. And plus, we need to move progressive on policy as well. We need to move progressive on policy as well. Healthcare, social services, for college students, etc. We just need to do better. We need to do better. And in doing that, Democrats need to move past Trump. Trump is a fading figure. Let the right cry about Donald Trump. We can't join them in crying about Donald Trump. Take the Trump derangement syndrome away from our side and just let them have their own Trump derangement syndrome. Let them do it. All right? We don't need to be screaming and crying about Trump anymore. Let it be. Let it be. Trump is a fading figure. We don't need to cry or scream about him. He's betraying his base, for crying out loud. He's betraying his base. He's betraying all the conservative young men that voted for him. He's betraying them. Let it be. Let the right have Trump derangement syndrome and take it off our shoulders, at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if a Democrat wins or not. I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. This is what makes me an independent. I don't care anymore if a Democrat wins or not. Maybe we can fix the Republican Party. Maybe we can fix the Republican Party. All right, maybe we can. Maybe we can make the Republican Party, a party that is pro-Israel. Well, I definitely want to, in my envisionment, we should keep the pro-Israel stance for sure. And, better on immigration, more moderate on social issues, particularly, LGBT rights, woke, all that stuff, more soft on that. Maybe we can fix the Republican Party. I want to see that. This is where I differ with Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes wants a hard right guy to come on after Trump and to take over. He said that many times. I want to see the Republican Party fixed. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Republican Party go down the moderate path that it was going down on before 2016. Before Trump won and ruined everything. And I want to change. I want the culture to change back. Not all the way back. All the way back would be atheism and all that. I don't want that. But I want the culture to change back to a more kind society and a kinder culture. And I think that's the root of my views for younger generations. Here's my take on it. Do better, folks. Javier here, tuning out.